If you're in the market for a new smartphone this year, your chances are good that you're seriously considering two highly anticipated handsets, the Samsung Galaxy S4 and the HTC One. Both offer tempting helpings of powerful components, advanced features, and cutting-edge software. So which device should you go with? It's a tough choice, but fear not, we're about to do a comparison between the two phones, comparing just about every category that the phones have to offer. Let's start by talking about the screen. Perhaps the most striking thing about the Galaxy S4 is its massive 5-inch HD Super AMOLED display. It also features a sharp 1920 by 1080 pixel resolution and a pixel density of 441 pixels per inch. HTC gave the One a 4.7-inch LCD screen that's slightly smaller than the Galaxy S4's, but boasts the same 1920 by 1080 resolution. As a result, the HTC One's display has a higher pixel density of 468 pixels per inch. We're looking forward to an in-depth side-by-side examination of the screens once both devices are available, but in the meantime, our guess is that the Samsung Galaxy S4 is the edge here when it comes to pleasing colors, especially if you're able to dampen its screen color saturation in the settings. The next category is storage. The Galaxy S4 comes in 16GB, 32GB, and 64GB configurations, though not for every market in which it'll be sold. Expect US carriers to sell it in the smaller capacities, starting at around $199 for the 16GB version and $249 for double that amount. One consequence of the HTC One's beautiful aluminum unibody design is that its chassis is sealed, and add in the phone's thin design and you've got no room for a micro SD card slot to add extra storage. While HTC does its best to alleviate the situation by getting rid of a 16GB model and just having it with either 32GB or 64GB of internal memory, it still isn't great the fact that you can't expand it. I would say for this category, it's yet another win for the Samsung Galaxy S4 just because it can be expanded. Now about battery. Samsung equips the Galaxy S4 with a 2600 mAh battery that's user removable. It pops out when you remove the back cover, which makes swapping it out for a fresh one a simple maneuver. By contrast, the HTC One features a slightly lower capacity 2300 mAh battery, which is embedded. That means you can't remove it, so if the HTC One's battery fails, you'll need to send in the device for repair. Now, the iPhone that has proved that a sealed battery is far from a deal breaker, and the HTC One has demonstrated solid battery life. But HTC lacks Apple's retail infrastructure, and the Samsung Galaxy S4 takes its third round because you can remove the battery from it. Next category is the operating system. Right out of the box, the Galaxy S4 will run Google's latest version of Android Jelly Bean, Android 4.2.2. That's great for Android fans who can enjoy the all-important bragging rights that come with owning a cutting-edge smartphone. While the HTC One uses a slightly older iteration of Jelly Bean, Android version 4.1.2, the HTC One does support the enhanced Google Now search function, which can be used as a dedicated widget on the phone's home screen. Of course, HTC layers its latest Sense user interface over Android, which many have blamed for holding up Android updates in later HTC smartphones. When you come right down to it, the differences between Android Jelly Bean 4.1.2 and 4.2.2 isn't earth-shattering, but Google has added plenty of bug fixes, including a big one to address audio streaming over Bluetooth. Because the HTC has Sense, this round might be about a tie, because the Samsung Galaxy S4 doesn't have that kind of cool feature, but I mean, it could go either way. As far as user interface and usability go, Samsung may have backed away from calling its custom Android layer TouchWiz, but the Galaxy S4 is a very stylized interface. Gestures such as eye tracking play an even larger role in this new smartphone. There's group play, there's a sensitive screen, there's a fitness app, S-Health, and there's S-Voice Drive. The S4 is just packed with all kinds of cool software features. Now, the HTC One takes a more conservative approach than Samsung, but that doesn't mean HTC didn't make considerable changes to its Sense user interface into Android Jelly Bean in general. The icons for app shortcuts and text fonts are clean, sleek, and futuristic, and the biggest departure from stock Android is the blink feed feature, which is the primary home screen by default. Now, there's no doubt that the Samsung Galaxy S4 wins the feature arms race against the HTC One, but if you're looking for a slightly simpler smartphone, I would actually recommend going with HTC. As far as the cameras go, both the HTC One and the Galaxy S4 bring their A game. Samsung sticks with a more traditional trend of the 13 megapixel sensor, while HTC has 4 megapixels but uses ultra pixels to get really high quality shots. The HTC One did perform slightly better in tests, so I'm going to have to give the H to camera to the HTC. Now, other essential extras as far as these go, the Samsung Galaxy S4 and the HTC One are evenly matched. Interestingly, both boast IR blasters that give each handset the ability to command HD TVs. They both have 4G LTE, Wi-Fi wireless networking, Bluetooth 4.0, and NFC to enable quick Bluetooth pairing with other accessories such as headphones and speakers. Now, there's no doubt that both the Samsung Galaxy S4 and the HTC One are awesome mobile devices that represent the pinnacle of smartphones today, even possibly higher than the current iPhone 5. From what we've seen so far, both phones are worth your time and money. Which one you choose may well come down to factors like the phone's physical design and expandable storage preferences. In this comparison, the Samsung Galaxy S4 did really well at the beginning, but the HTC did well in camera and in other features. The Samsung Galaxy S4 just fell a little bit behind it. Now, since the Galaxy S4 hasn't come out on all carriers yet, we can't make our final judgment on that phone until we really do the tests on it. For instance, we still need to see the device's processor speeds, and the Samsung has confirmed that the Galaxy S4 will not be getting the 8-core processor in the US. It'll only be getting a quad-core processor. Also, we're not 100% sure about how the battery life will do on all variants of the S4, and we'll need to assess, data and voice speeds on each handset for the icing on the cake. So, for now, I would say go with the HTC One, but when the Samsung Galaxy S4 releases, that could all change. And if you're going with the Samsung Galaxy S4, that's a great choice as well. It's very hard to choose between these two devices, and they're head for head. Samsung has the edge here simply because they're the bigger company, but that doesn't necessarily mean they created the better phone. For one thing, the HTC One looks really great. It's unibody metal design, while the Samsung Galaxy S4 just has a plastic design. I mean, both phones are at the top of the Android market, as I keep on saying, so either way you go, it's a good choice. Thanks for watching this comparison between the Galaxy S4 and the HTC One, and stay tuned to CTN for more on both phones.